fans, for staying with us. This is a maiden edition of Parliament Viewpoint, our weekly program on AIT Parliamentary Channel on the DASA platform that brings to you the position of Parliament on issues of state and national importance. I am Ogie. On this program this week, we will take the views of Nigerian federal lawmakers on the security challenges in the country with a special focus on the deadly terrorist activities of the Boko Haram sect. The task of eradicating the insurgency masterminded by the Boko Haram in Adamawa, Yobe, and some parts of the country is yet to abate. President Goodluck Jonathan had on 2 occasions requested for an extension of the emergency rule in Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa states. The state of emergency was first declared on May 2013, while another letter came from the president 2014 asking for 6 months extension. Some senators and members of the House of Representatives, mainly from their federal state, vowed to block the president's request for extension. However, despite their push to get their colleagues jettisoning the call for an extension, the parliament still went ahead to grant the president's request.
The motion before us on the extension of state of emergency in Adamawa, Borno, and Yobe states, and we agreed that we will approve the state of emergency extension in the plenary. Is that a true reflection of what transpired in the committee of the whole? Yes. Thank you.
Our first order, Mr. President, is a motion standing in my name on the executive communication from Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief on the extension of the state of emergency in Adamawa, Borno, and Yobe states. Distinguished colleagues will recall that on Tuesday, the 21st day of May 2013, Senate, by a resolution by which Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief Dr. Goodluck Jonathan declared a state of emergency in order to curb militant insurgency and restore peace in Adamawa, Borno, and Yobe states, and on Thursday, 7th November 2013, passed a resolution for the extension of the state of emergency for a further period of 6 months. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, though commendable effort progress has been recorded in these states, we still have this communication asking for a further extension, and with your kind permission, may I take the motion?
Take the motion, please, the leader.
This distinguished Senate notes that on Thursday, the 7th day of November 2013, the Senate considered and approved the extension of the period of the state of emergency in Adamawa, Borno, and Yobe states. Aware that by virtue of the provisions of Section 305, subsection 6C of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, as amended, the proclamation will elapse after a period of 6 months from the date of approval, except the period is extended by the National Assembly. Further aware that the President in a letter dated 13th May 2014 requested a further extension of the period of the state of emergency in Adamawa, Borno, and Yobe states, recognizing that the security situation in the 3 states remains daunting in the face of persistent attacks by members of the Boko Haram sect on civilian and military targets with alarming casualty figures. Cognizant of the fact that by the provision of Section 305, subsection 6C, which states inter alia, and I quote, provided that the National Assembly may, before the expiration of the period of 6 months aforesaid, extend the period for the proclamation of the state of emergency to remain in force from time to time for a further period of 6 months by a resolution passed in like manner. That this Senate recalls that the Ministers of Defense and Police Affairs, Service Chiefs, the Director General of State Security, Inspector General of Police, and the National Security Advisor have briefed the Senate on the state of security in the affected states. That accordingly, this Senate resolves to approve the extension of the proclamation of a state of emergency as contained in the Emergency Powers General Regulations 2013, effective in Adamawa, Borno, and Yobe states to remain in force for a further period of 6 months in accordance with the terms and conditions, content and context as earlier passed by the National Assembly. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this distinguished Senate, in addition, further welcomes and endorses the support of the international community in respect of efforts to rescue the abducted Chibok students, and urge Mr. President to expand the cooperation and collaboration to the overall arrest of the ugly incidents of terrorism in Nigeria. That Senate calls for proper kitting and arming of our armed forces deployed to arrest the insurgency and to ensure adequate welfare for troops. Urge that full military operations be undertaken on a sustained basis to rout the insurgents. That special recruitments into armed forces of screened and vetted youths, particularly those of the civilian JTF, who will receive emergency training and deployed in the trouble zone in order to beef up the strength of our troops and win the hearts and minds of the locals. That the federal government, in conjunction with state governments, come up with an economic Marshall Plan to revive the economies of the affected states, and that the federal government should seek and secure multilateral support for this Marshall Plan. That the ministers of defense, police affairs, the service chiefs, the national security advisor, the director general of state security services do report to the Senate on a monthly basis progress made in combating the insurgency, on the basis of which this distinguished Senate can take any decision it considers necessary, including but not limited to the revocation of the declaration of the state of emergency. Urge Mr. President to prepare and submit to the National Assembly supplementary budget to meet any established financial requirements needed to combat the insurgency. And finally, Mr. President, urge Mr. President to approve immediate emergency intervention funds to the affected states. Mr. President, I so move.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Senator Akuma, Minority Leader, I rise to second the motion for extension of the state of emergency in the affected states as read out by the Leader of the Senate with all the conditionalities attached. I so second, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion as read out by the Leader of the Senate and seconded by the Minority Leader, say aye. Against, say nay. The ayes have it.
Though Parliament has taken position on this, some lawmakers expressed views.
By this, before the time of election, there will be no state of emergency there. There has to come back to barrack and allow the civilian to go around and cast their vote successfully. By then, I'm telling you, the National Assembly will vote against the state of emergency. They have to withdraw them from all their state to go back to the barrack to do their own primary assignment. The soldiers are there only to protect aggression from neighboring countries or from criminals. But I believe before 2015, the insurgency and what have you will come to an end. Inshallah, with prayers. We must to pray for our country. We need our country, just a single country, Nigeria. And we must to unite. We must to fight against those that are creating confusion, those that are trying to cause crisis within and outside our country. We must pray hard, and we will continue praying. Those that are perpetrators to what is happening, we will continue praying. If they will be repent, may God give them that chance to repent.
The issue of insurgency in the north, especially the bombings and all these things. Well, I always advise that our armed forces are doing their best to nip that in the bud. I'm also of the opinion that some people are saying that the current challenges in this side of law is even it's political, because I don't see the war they are fighting now as religious. Because if you look at the last bombing in Abuja, look at the man that died from New Telegraph. Of course, he's a Muslim, and so on and so forth. So I don't see the issue on ground as that of religion. It's basically that of something that we don't know yet. So when you talk about 2015 and Northeast, the insurgency, I think that people contemplating declaration of state of emergency, full emergency in those states, I don't think they are right, because I believe that in spite of what is happening there, elections must hold in that place. Our security agencies should just be encouraged, should be well equipped to tackle the insurgency in those states, and the elections can hold. That is particularly on the insurgency, the Boko Haram issue. But
look at the security challenges we're having today, like Abuja, the federal capital, is being harassed by a lot of bombing and other attacks every day. So how do you think we are going to tackle this area so that these hoodlums or the Islamic sect called Boko Haram will not try to put a thing to disturb this election?
I really don't believe that we will have problems because of the security challenges. Yes, the truth is that the security challenges are there, but the security challenges usually should not obstruct us from conducting our elections. Because even in the areas that are mostly affected by this Boko Haram insurgency, excuse me, you will agree with me that the states like Borno, Adamawa, Yobe, they are equally very, very eager to go in for elections by 2015. And I do want to believe that come 2015, so many persons will come out, to embrace the elections. Because Boko Haram is not about, or is not against conducting elections. What their philosophy is that they are against Western education. They are not against credible elections. So I very much believe that Boko Haram, which is a problem for us today, by the special grace of God, will not be a problem for us tomorrow, because government is doing everything possible to see how the insurgency can be caught as much as possible. And so far, our military have done very well, just that their best so far is still not good enough. We still need to, before 2015, do a lot in the area of intelligence gathering in order to be able to to put an end to the Boko Haram insurgency. And to that extent, I do not share the opinion that Boko Haram would want to cause violence by 2015, or any sect whatsoever would want to cause violence by 2015, because these people are equally looking forward to a credible elections. And once there's a credible election, a free and fair elections by 2015, acceptable to a majority of Nigerians, I'm sure that there will be no need for any group or any sect to have any misfeelings over the outcome of the elections. So, whether or not Boko Haram exists as of today, it does not follow that because of that, there can be no credible election.
The security challenges in the country today, especially the northern part of Nigeria, how do you think election is going to hold in those areas?
Well, it will be difficult for elections to hold under the present circumstances. Let's not kid ourselves. But I believe that before then, we should be able to address these problems and, put them under control. I've always advocated that we need to have, call it a summit of the legislature, the executive, and the military to look at this thing holistically and know what we can do better, what we're not doing at the moment, because I believe we can do it. You see, this matter is not beyond this country. Let me give an example, for instance. It's now 9 years since they had the last bomb in the UK. 9 years. But every day there's a security threat. What happens is that just that before the people strike, the security services get into them, infiltrate them, arrest them, prosecute them. We can do that here. I think it's unfortunate that the bomber was able to get to Wuse and explode the bomb. I think it's unacceptable. There's no reason why that should happen. So what I'm saying is that we can do a lot more. I'm not saying that the resources are doing their best, but we can do a lot more to secure this nation. And unless we secure this nation, elections may not hold. It's as important as that. So we must secure the nation, whatever it takes. It doesn't matter what it costs in terms of money. Let us put it into security. It doesn't matter if we have to invite foreigners, FBI, Scotland Yard, Israeli, Mossad, whoever will help us in this matter. Let us get them and tackle this matter once and for all.
That's Parliament Viewpoint on AIT Parliamentary Channel on the DASA platform. Join us again next week for another episode. I am Ogie. Thanks for staying with us.